Okay, hello, and welcome to Mythophiles, where we love stories of all kinds. I'm Duncan Gale,
I'm Cody Decker.
and today we are going to be talking about the movie Seven Samurai, the Japanese film by Akira Kurosawa. Um, I believe if you've been watching these episodes in order, which I don't know if anybody's actually doing that, but if you are, we mentioned we were going to be covering something else this time, but slight change of plans, and so we're going to be covering a movie, and so this was a movie that Cody chose, and so what made you choose this movie, Cody?
Um, I'm trying to pass the time mostly, but also like because I know that this is a very like in what's the word? Not foundational. A lot of things reference this,
Sure.
and I
Yeah.
was gonna start watching cowboy.
Influential, yeah,
Yeah,
foundational, yeah, yeah.
I was gonna start watching cowboy movies because I never got into those, and they're like, okay,
Mm-hmm.
the big cowboy movie is called The
Yeah,
Magnificent Six or Seven or whatever,
right,
and then like, but just so you know, that's a reference. That's an American remake of
right.
Seven Samurai. So I'm like, okay, I'll watch this movie so I can watch the other movies,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and that's
Right. Yeah, yeah, just that you brought up the Magnificent Seven, which I've never seen, but yeah, when you told me that we were going to do this movie, I went onto my Roku to look up where Seven Samurai is available to watch, and when I don't know if this is just on my Roku or just on Roku in general. If you type in Seven Samurai, a picture comes up of something that says the Magnificent Seven, but it's a black and white picture that has a picture of Toshiro Mifune, the Japanese actor that's in this. And so, I just so it was a little confusing because it's like, okay, I know that the Magnificent Seven is a color movie that does not have Toshiro Mifune in it, whereas Seven Samurai is a black and white movie that does have him in it. So this is black and white with him, but it says the Magnificent Seven. But I clicked on it and it was Seven Samurai. So
oh,
yeah, so that's maybe just a public service announcement. If you're looking for this and you have a Roku and the Magnificent Seven comes up, it's Seven Samurai. Yeah.
and if you're someone in my position who just maybe doesn't necessarily do subscriptions to watch things, this really reminds you why it's a pretty sweet. It's much more convenient
Yeah,
to.
you actually just go out and purchase the DVD
Oh yeah, I go
legally, of
I
course.
go
Yeah,
and I find the DVD because it's just more
right.
raw and it's just more like
Yeah,
authentic video when you have it
right,
in physical
right,
format.
right.
And I want to support um business.
Yeah,
You know, Hollywood is suffering, and if we don't help it, they could all those millionaires, they're gonna have to give up their fourth house if we stop paying legally for all of it.
absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I actually still go to watch movies in the theater sometimes, and every time I do, uh, yeah, there's always this commercial right before the movie with Nicole Kidman,
I
where
think
she's walking into the theater and she's talking about how great movies are, and then sometimes, yeah, that's right. Yeah, this is the place where heartbreak doesn't feel so bad. Yeah,
we
yeah, and
come
yeah,
here to experience a life. And so we're already here. Like they're advertising the concept of a movie.
that's right. And then sometimes, yeah, yeah, yeah. I went to see that movie Babylon recently, and with that movie, so first that Nicole Kidman thing happens, and then the two main actors of that movie show up before the movie starts, and they say, "We just want to thank you for coming to see Babylon in the theater the way that we, yeah, okay." Can you start the goddamn movie already?
The worst
And I
part,
mean, and this is like and Babylon is like a 3 hour movie, and so I'm already like setting in. It's like, okay, and this movie hadn't even started yet. It's like, oh god, come on.
I hate, yeah. And then the actors are waiting for you outside the theater and they're holding
That's
up
right.
like tip jars and stuff.
That's right.
I
Yeah,
just,
yeah, 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 yeah. You can actually meet Tom Hanks, and yeah,
Yeah,
He will thank you. He will ask for your autograph. Yeah.
yeah, he loves the fans, loves the fan. And
Yeah.
he's just like, it's like it's a job to them. So they're like, if this
Right.
movie doesn't do well, I might not be able to make rent this month. So,
Yeah.
they're
Yeah.
really up on that.
That's right.
Um,
That's right. Yeah. Yeah.
so, but yeah, so Seven Samurai, I didn't even know
Samurai.
how
Yeah.
long it was when I first went to
Mm-hmm.
watch it. It's
Mm-hmm.
really long. It has an intermission in it.
It does. Yeah. Yeah. It's a nice old school thing. Yeah. Yeah. Movies used to have intermissions. Yeah. And that really needs to come back, especially for 3 hour movies. Yeah.
Yeah, I actually appreciated it because I didn't even realize it was. I kind of just like it was just a black screen, and I
Right.
wasn't sure if like, is this one of the consequences of absolutely paying for these movies that sometimes stuff like this happens? So I
Right.
got up and left to go use the bathroom to go get snacks, and I came back and the intermission was still going. I'm like, oh, this is what people did back then.
Right.
People would wait for the break and then leave to
Yeah.
go do stuff instead of leaving to go to the bathroom mid theater and then asking me to explain to them what they missed.
Yeah,
Um,
right, exactly. Yeah, no, it was cool. Yeah, I got to go see one of my favorite movies is Ben-Hur, which is an older movie, and I got to see it when it was like re-released in the theaters recently, and they actually did the intermission. They actually put up a like 15-minute timer, so it's just so it tells you exactly how much time you had. And yeah, so I think that really needs to come back for a lot of movies.
yeah, because a
Uh,
lot of people don't get that you have the entire run of the trailers and then all of them like hyping up the theater and then
right,
like, oh, you're on the roller coaster to entertainment. That is, you have that time to go to the bathroom and open up all your snacks. And the fact that people are like, is the movie started? Okay, open up every bag now. And
right,
then,
right.
now it's like, okay, you have an hour. Hold in your
Mhm.
coughs, let it all out for 15 minutes. Let out every
Right,
single
right.
cough. The baby you brought into this R-rated movie, let them cry. Everyone get it
Yeah,
out. Okay, everyone shut up again.
yeah, yeah.
It's a really good system.
It's great. It's great. Yeah.
I was my first thought when the movie started playing was also, oh, it's in black and white. Is there like an updated version of this?
Is there an updated English version of this?
And there
Yeah.
is, and it's the Magnificent Seven.
Magnificent Seven. Yeah, that's right. Wait, and I think there was even a remake of the Magnificent Seven
Yeah,
recently. So
and
yeah,
then there was the Ridiculous Six with Adam
right.
Sandler.
Well, yeah, yeah. Actually, there are a lot of movies that have this basic plot, including Three Amigos.
I've been meaning to watch
Although
that.
although that's yeah, yeah. I don't know.
The plot also, I think there's an anime called Hell's Paradise
Hmm.
that probably is inspired by it. I mean, any story, I guess, where it's just they're like, "Hey, can you go get help?" And like, this is
Right.
this guy, he does, and then they're like, and I guess if it's a 7 or 6 people, it's a reference to this. Um,
Right. Yeah. Also, a Bug's Life
yeah,
also kind of follows the plot of this movie as well. Yeah. So yeah.
which honestly, I was like, oh, it's gonna be people pretending to be samurai based off my experiences
Right.
with Bug's Life.
Right. And the three amigos. Yeah. As well, which is about a bunch of actors who aren't really heroic guys, but they played them in movies, and people think they're
Mm.
kind of like Galaxy Quest. Also, a much better movie than Three Amigos. Yeah.
Galaxy Quest is great. I do like the plot. Like they're like this is a really influential movie, and the plot
Hmm.
is there's a village in trouble, and then like a couple people are told like go get some samurai to help fight off some bandits,
Right.
and that is the plot. That is it.
That's pretty much the plot. Yeah. Yeah.
There isn't
Hmm.
like a conspiracy. There isn't like a like oh it's but this if they take this village then this is gonna happen. It's just can you go get help? And then they're
Hmm.
just like we'll go to town and
Hmm.
they're like, "Hey, are you a samurai? Can you? We can pay you in rice." And the guy's like,
Hmm.
"Ah, all right, whatever." That's the
Right.
movie.
Right.
And
Sure.
then,
Yeah. Yeah.
and maybe this is where every single instance, the Mandalorian's the most recent one to do it, where
Hmm.
people
Yeah.
go
Oh,
to a
yeah.
village and then you have to teach them how to thrust a spear forward and go ha. Uh,
Right.
a lot of movies. I love that they did that in Star Wars, where not only do guns exist, it's sci-fi guns, and they're like,
Hmm.
we're gonna teach these locals how to stab robots, and it worked.
Right. Right. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, definitely, definitely.
We'll build some
Yeah, I
trenches.
mean, yeah, the Ewoks didn't need to be taught, but the people did. Yeah,
Yeah, the Ewoks, they were able to do that on their own. Humans, they're like, I don't even know, man.
yeah, helpless. Yeah, yeah,
Though I
yeah.
also did like the world of Seven because I was like, oh, I completely believe that even owning a sword is like extremely rare.
Right. Yeah,
And yeah,
yeah. That is another interesting thing about this movie. If you have certain associations or ideas about what a samurai is, like, I mean, for me, not having any expertise in Japanese feudal history or anything, but I just think of a samurai as like, having all of that like armor and stuff on and stuff. But in this movie, a samurai is just a guy who has a sword and is wearing a kimono. And it's like, oh wow, that's pretty bare bones. But yeah, I mean they're presumably skilled someone.
I mean that's what I haven't seen it, the Magnificent Seven, but I do like the concept of which is just like go find someone with a weapon and maybe they can
Right,
help. That's it,
right.
and you can translate that in a lot of so like in the Magnificent Seven, it's go find like cowboys who can like shoot a gun, and then they're like,
Yep,
hey, can you shoot? And they're like, no. All right, yeah, I'll do it. And
right.
I don't know if you can hear that, but that's a cat clawing at the door. I don't know if that's picking up on the mic, but there's a cat really
Oh,
trying.
okay. Well, yeah. Maybe they'll stop by later. Um, always nice when we have animals stop by the podcast, right?
Yeah. Uh,
Um, well, yeah. So, yeah. I mean, I enjoyed. Yeah. I just watched this movie yesterday, but I had seen it before. Yeah, a while ago. Yeah, I think it was like over 10 years ago that I first saw this movie, and back then, yeah, that was when we were still the main way that you could see a movie was on something called a DVD.
hmm.
And yeah, I think I actually rented the Criterion Collection edition of Seven Samurai from the local video store, and the sort of movie nerd I am, I mean, I watched the movie and then I watched it again with like the commentary by like some film scholar, and so I actually did really get into it back at the time, but that was a while ago. But we'll see if I can still remember a couple of yeah things that I learned from that commentary as we discuss it. But yeah.
Oh yeah, two other things. One, this the time of this like story is
Mhm.
before like the samurai code and stuff became like super like strict and a big deal. Because you'll
Right.
see a lot of the it is just people who are like um duelists. That's it.
Right.
There's not real and they're like a guy cuts his hair even though they're like, oh, isn't that's like against the code, but they don't take it that
Hmm.
seriously.
Right.
So it's in the time period before they started like, doing the more pop culture ideas of samurai. And also
Hmm.
when they're talking about ninjas and be like, oh yeah, they use farm tools as weapons. And it's like, yeah, they had no other option. There weren't any, you couldn't just get a
Right.
sword.
Hmm. Hmm.
So
Oh yeah. Yeah. By the way, the thing with ninjas, this was actually something that I learned recently. We think of ninjas as like having that like mask and the like the bodysuit and everything, but actually most ninjas did not wear that. Most ninjas just like wore, because ninjas were like assassins trying to like infiltrate someplace, so they just like wore whatever clothes of the place they were trying to infiltrate. They didn't wear some sort of costume that would clearly identify themselves as a ninja. That would like completely defeat the purpose of what being a ninja was. So
yeah, I mean, in
yeah.
an era before cameras, it really
Uh-huh.
was just like go
Yeah.
find that guy and stab him, dude, and you're good.
Right,
Like
right.
as long as they
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
catch you, there's not even like a database. Like
Mhm.
you just need to go find that guy and stab him.
Yeah, yeah.
Also, I know that outfit where that comes from is when they would do theater plays.
Right,
Um,
exactly. Yeah,
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 they would
yeah.
have they like that's just what stagehands wore, and then there was like, oh look, the ninja's so stealthy, he looks like that, and people are like, I guess that's what a ninja is, because it's also the
Right.
only time that outfit ever came to anyone's attention was when it was
Yeah,
like, oh my god, I thought it was a stagehand, it was a ninja.
that's right. Yeah, yeah. It was like a kabuki theater thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Huh.
All right.
Um,
Let's kicks.
Okay,
What's
well,
the
yeah,
samurai phrase? Let's unsheath.
let's get down to business.
Yes,
That's that's uh that's a song from the movie Mulan, which is Chinese, completely different culture.
it's a
I know
different
that,
different
but
nation, different culture, different faction, different group, different everything. But we
yeah,
know what you meant.
yeah. But okay, well, yeah. I mean, it's worth just saying a little bit about the director, right?
Yeah.
Akira Kurosawa. He is a really legendary director. Yeah, I think if you want to kind of think of yourself as a film buff, you probably should have seen at least one or two of his movies. And yeah, I mean, and Seven Samurai is probably his most well known movie. Um, I've seen one other of his movies. I've also seen Rashomon. Have you seen Rashomon?
No.
Yeah. Uh, Rashomon is also a very influential movie, mostly because it's basically about a bunch of a murder happens, and a bunch of different people recount how the murder happens, and all of their stories completely conflict with each other, like they're all completely different. And basically that same technique has been used as well by tons of other people. So that's another very influential movie. What's interesting about that movie is that the murder happens, and then every person who recounts it says that they were the one that committed the murder. Nobody recounts the story in a way that's like at all self-serving to them. They all say, "Oh yeah, I was the one that committed the murder," including there's one part where like a like medium comes and like summons the spirit
Oh
of
my
the
god.
guy of the dead guy, and the dead guy spirit says, "Yes, I killed myself." Yeah. So even the dead guy himself says that, yeah, oh yeah, no, I committed the murder on myself. So anyway,
So
yeah,
it's
yeah,
a
that's another. Mhm.
it's a who done it, but they're all trying to say that they did it.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's really not even a who done it. It's more like a, yeah. Actually, I think I mean Toshiro Mifune from this movie. He's also in that movie. He plays a major character, and also the guy from this movie from Seven Samurai, the main guy. Yeah. Yeah. The guy who shaves his head and stuff. Yeah. He plays like a servant at the beginning, and he's just like, I don't understand what happened. Like he heard all of these different stories, and he's like, I just don't know what happened. And so that's basically what the movie is about. It's like, what is truth? It's like,
I think they did some movie like that with Peter Dinklage where
mm-hmm,
it was a really cool premise and the movie just didn't, it was just one of those movies that I just doesn't get popular, but it was
mm-hmm,
like he gets like brain reader scanner things and he puts them over, so he is trying to find the murderer using
uh-huh.
like the experience, but like everyone sees, like everyone's memory is different, so he's like even looking at the building in this guy's memory, the building looks different, so he has to like piece together the truth from everyone's memory.
Oh, interesting. Okay,
It's a
yeah,
really good premise. It just, I think it bombed so bad they didn't even bring it up.
I don't remember ever hearing about a movie like that, and I like Peter Dinklage. Yeah,
I
but
think it was one of those things where he was like, "All right, I'll be an X-Men if you guys like help me out with this movie I actually want to make." And they're like,
right.
"All right, but can you also be in Infinity War?" And he's like, "Okay." And I'll just use that money to go make an actual movie. And they're like,
He has the best line in Infinity War, I think.
"Is it that's what dying means?"
Yeah, it's like, but it will kill you only if I die. Yes, that's what killing you means.
Uh, he
Yeah.
was a star. He was a star. Is he still doing superhero stuff, or is he? Also, I was thinking like, because if you were going to because it's samurai cowboys, so it's like, oh, what would be the modern thing? It'd be superheroes, but that was like the first thing they did was
Mm-hmm.
Avengers type stuff. So that already happened. I think there's 7 members of the Avengers, right?
Um, Well, I think the originally there were like five members of the Avengers. There's either five or way more than seven. But yeah. I'm sure at some point there's seven. Yeah.
Because they count Phil Coulson as an Avenger, even though he doesn't count. But the only reason I think they count him because that makes it seven. Because there's Iron Man, Black Widow,
Mhm.
Hawkeye,
Right.
I already
Hulk. Yeah.
Hulk,
Captain
Thor,
America. Yeah. Yeah.
and then so the only reason to say that Phil Coulson's in there so they can say it's seven people.
Right. Yeah.
So that's that mystery solved.
Well, yeah. So, I mean, yeah. I think the other big Kurosawa movie is the Hidden Fortress, which I haven't seen, but that's the one where it's like this guy escorting a princess, and there's also these two bickering servants, and like the movie is mostly told from the perspective of these two servants, and if you change those servants into robots, then you got a story that happened a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away.
Oh,
Yeah, so that was basically the inspiration for Star Wars. Yeah, and having having it start with like C-3PO and R2-D2 and stuff. Um,
I
yeah, I
thought
mean it's uh-huh.
no, I thought this was the movie that had the like someone gets cut and then like way more blood than is necessary comes out. Because I
Yeah,
know
yeah,
that
yeah. Uh-huh.
I know it was a thing. I was like, oh, that must have happened in this because I recognize this name, but I'm still trying to find that movie. But like the origin of that is it was a Japanese film, and they had like the blood splat, and it just like went way overboard, and just everyone went, that was awesome. We're doing that from now on. And
Right.
so like that's why in Japanese media, like if someone gets slashed, it's like because
Wow.
it happened by accident, and everyone agreed that it ruled.
Wow. Wow. Huh. Yeah, yeah, no, this movie is not that violent. Yeah. I mean,
No,
I mean,
people die to
wait, wait, what's that?
when people die, I'm like, I don't know if that would even kill someone.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's like, yeah. He got like hit. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, because like a lot of people they get like slashed like at their back and they go like and they collapse. And like even if that was lethal, you wouldn't immediately like I'm not you barely see any blood, and I didn't believe that most of the people actually would even die. I
Right.
don't know. I'm not saying I can handle a sword in my stomach, but like I don't know if I would just go like ugh and I'm
Right.
dead.
Yeah. Yeah. And like, and the place where arrows hit people, it's not necessarily like, I don't think that hit any major organs. I mean, yeah,
See, yeah,
I mean, I'm sure it would hurt. I'm not saying it wouldn't hurt, but lethal, yeah, I don't know.
yeah. I don't want to be a jerk and be like, look, I know human anatomy
Right.
pretty decently.
Yeah.
And I know that people survive stuff like this.
Hmm.
Again, I wouldn't want it to happen to me.
Right.
And first, if it happened to me, I would have a much louder death because I would be screaming and crying if I got hit by an arrow. I
Hmm.
I,
Hmm.
I think most of these people, I think that's where Star Wars got it from. Because the big issue in Star Wars that bugs me is everyone wears
Yeah.
body armor, but if you get hit,
Right.
like you still die. So it's like, why even wear armor? Um,
That's true. Yeah. 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 I mean, and yeah. Those like laser blasts. Yeah, they really look like they shouldn't do much more than just like stun you or something. Yeah, but they
so the
surprisingly
theory
lethal. Yeah.
what I love about the Star Wars community is it's this whole group devoted to like answering every single plot hole in that world and just making it and
Right.
forcing it to make sense. And so
Right.
the answer for the stormtrooper thing is it's like, oh, the armor does work. They just get knocked out. So most of them
Right.
don't even die. Um,
Right. Well, and at this point, it's not even just the fans that are devoted to that. Now the Disney Corporation is devoted to answering those questions with every single new Disney Plus series that fills in the gaps of every single aspect of the Star Wars universe that you were just dying to know. Like, yeah, Boba Fett, yeah, who is he really? What's
some
his
guy.
entire life story? You know, I mean, it was cool when he was a mysterious character that we didn't know anything about, and he had this cool armor. But let's really get to know him. And
Let's look beneath the things that people liked about him.
that's right. That's
And
right.
I mean, I was thrilled finding out why Han Solo's name was Solo.
Yeah, yeah. No, that was definitely a question that, yeah.
I saw that movie in theaters, definitely, and just you heard like this wave of relief wash over the audience.
Oh,
Oh, it's because he's alone. That's why he's named that.
yeah. No, I still kind of can't believe that happened. Yeah. Yeah, that was pretty ridiculous.
I mean, because you can see the writing room of being handed like this is everything we know about Han Solo.
Yeah.
Okay. Why is his name that?
Right.
Okay. Just people like just answering questions that no one asked.
You remember when he said he did the Kessel run in under 12 parsecs? Okay, let's actually have the Kessel run. And maybe if we show people him actually doing it, uh, we can get people to not worry so much about the fact that a parsec is a measure of time rather than distance, or the opposite. I think. Yeah, yeah. It's a measure of distance, not time. Yeah.
Yeah, because they made it in less than 12 parsecs, which even alone,
right.
I don't even think that's like a confusing thing because it's like,
right.
Yeah, shortcuts exist. I believe, like, if you're like, oh, I got to this, like, it's still fine on its own. But thank God we got to see it.
Yeah, thank God. Yeah.
Because when I heard he made the Kessel run, I mean, I think I'm with most people where I went, what the fuck? I didn't see that.
Yeah.
When are we gonna see the Kessel run? I can't watch this movie.
How am I supposed to believe that happened? Just because a character said it in a movie?
So he says something happened, and I'm supposed to take his word for it. This is ridiculous. I really hope they make a movie to answer all of it. Where did he get his pants from? Where did he get those dice? None of this makes any sense. He just came out of nowhere? Was he born? Did he have a childhood?
That gun that he has, where did that come from? I want to actually see the gun be assembled.
Yeah. And yeah. See.
We love that movie. We're gonna be covering that movie next week.
I would actually genuinely love to cover Han Solo now. I think that would.
we may get way more mileage out of talking about movies like that rather than Seven Samurai, which is just like, this movie rules. It's just awesome. Yeah.
It's really good. The only thing that took me a while was the bald caps and the hairstyle, because I was looking at these people and like, did they hire young people to pretend to be older?
There was at least one time when I was watching it, with the bald cap, and it looked like they were wearing like baseball caps, and one it's like, oh yeah.
Yeah, and so like I guess the style, which I'm like, I really hope this comes back in roughly 4 years. I think that's all I have left, where they would purposely make it look like their hairline just receded because it looked cool.
Right.
You learn about all these cultures where it's like, yeah, balding used to look cool. People used to like monobrows or unibrows, whatever, and then it all just went away. Suddenly balding's not cool, and I'm gonna have to make a really tough decision in the future, and I have to pluck my eyebrows. And I'm watching them like these people are living it up. I guess it's like the Amish, where like you're not allowed to grow your hair out until something happens.
Oh, is that right?
I should say, I guess based off nothing, that's what's happening. I should add that part.
I thought I thought the Amish were only not allowed to grow hair here. Everywhere else they can grow hair. It's just not here. They're like not allowed to have mustaches.
I thought they couldn't grow a beard unless they were married.
Oh, okay. That sounds like it could be right. Yeah. I don't
know. One of the issues with this film is that it's incredibly straightforward. Like the synopsis of these villagers ask for help and then they get help and then they fight.
Right.
That's the movie.
Yeah, yeah. This is definitely a process movie. This is more just like um, yeah, how something happens in great detail, but if you sort of zone out for 5 minutes or something, you really haven't missed that much. It's just yeah, you haven't missed any crucial plot development. It's just yeah, no, yeah, but
Even the recruiting of the samurai,
mhm,
I was like, it's in like it's all good and interesting, but like yeah, if you missed when one of them joined, it's like because sometimes the way they get one of them to join is they just ask.
right. Mhm,
So you and then I didn't I only there was like three samurai that I like really knew who they were,
mhm.
and the rest
Yeah,
I'm like I think that guy's a good fighter. That guy's
right.
honest. That guy's uh he's just a good guy who
Right.
does lumber, and that guy's the
Yeah.
comic relief character who's like the most important one, surprisingly.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That is an interesting thing. Yeah, because we have seven samurai, seven is like just enough characters where, unless the filmmaker really goes out of his way to differentiate each character, yeah, it's going to kind of get lost in the shuffle. And yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't think Kurosawa was necessarily interested in differentiating them that much, but yeah, yeah. Basically, we have yeah, and I'm
And
gonna have to
as
I'm
as
gonna have
you
to uh-huh
as you list these names,
yeah
I just want people to keep in mind you're supposed to envision it like that intro in the Suicide Squad,
right
where each one gets a pop song and then a
yeah
splash of neon colors that say like the
that's right
the the Joker's queen and stuff like that, the Ace of Spades. So just
yeah yeah
everyone
yeah
keep that in mind.
okay
We'll start on you know what? I'm gonna try to come up with what song they would use. I'll try to pick an appropriate song.
okay well yeah I think really the main character or sort of the central character is the leader sort of the seven samurai who is a character named Kambe yeah Kambe Shimada who is the character that you mentioned earlier. He's the guy that when we first see him, he's shaving his head and he's doing it. Yeah, yeah. This was a cool scene I thought where yeah he's shaving his head to pretend to be a monk because apparently there is a thief that has captured a child and is keeping a child inside this barn and everybody's afraid to go and confront the thief. But this guy he shaves his head so that he's able to get close to the thief and say, "Oh, hey, I'm just a monk. I'm just here to bring you food." And he does that, and then he
Just
goes in and swoops in and kills
I
the guy,
that
rescues the kid. Yeah,
I love that because it felt like oh it's
cool.
kind of like not like a fairy tale but like a
Right.
this is like a little story within the story of like you know like oh this was what a wise samurai did to do this, and then how he
Yeah.
resolves it is he's like okay I got you food, and
Hmm.
he just runs at the guy and beats him up, and I was like
Right.
this is I don't know what I thought this was going to be, but I really like because it's also like I was expecting like the the pop culture version of samurais that I get.
Hmm. Hmm.
So seeing him be
Right.
like, I'm gonna shave my head. I'm like, isn't that like an honor thing? Which people comment like, this is very abnormal.
Right.
Uh, and
Hmm.
this is a guy willing to like be like, I'm gonna like, I'm no, there's like a child in danger. I got like a whole scheme.
Right.
I don't.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's fine. My hair will grow back. Which you think when you're younger, but eventually it stops coming back. But
Yeah. Hmm.
and then just that he you like you don't even see the fight. You just see the guy leaving with like a
Right.
slash on his back. Again, I'm not going to bring it up too much, but I don't believe people would die the way that they die in this movie.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's definitely not. Yeah. Yeah. It's not focused on the realism of death in that sense. But yeah. 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 I mean, he shaves his head, which yeah, he's risking losing his honor, but the upside of it is that for the rest of the movie, he's able to do this really cool thing where he's always rubbing his head like this when he's thinking and stuff. So that's the trade off. Is yeah. So
You got to go like this. Yeah.
yeah. It's like, oh yes, yeah. So that's cool. Um, yeah, I actually read. Yeah, I think it was Roger Ebert's review of this movie. He points out that that scene that may be the first time where a character is introduced by them doing some completely unrelated thing, uh, which is like crazy because it's like such a common thing to see in movies now that it's like, well, there was actually an instance of somebody doing that for the first time, but apparently maybe in this movie, yeah, Kurosawa introduced the convention of okay, this character, yeah, in order to like demonstrate how much of a badass this character is, we're gonna show him doing this other thing, and then that's gonna be like their introduction. So yeah,
Yeah, that is it's weird how new movies are. Like
yeah, definitely,
because this was the 1950s.
right, yeah,
The
yeah,
copyright is not expired yet on this film.
no,
And
yeah,
it's like, oh yeah, this was the first time anyone did that. I'm like, the first, really? They're like, yeah,
right,
we just started making these, and we're already running out of ideas. Yeah.
yeah.
This movie also really made me just want to eat a bunch of rice. I don't know if you,
Well, yeah. I mean, they keep talking about rice balls, and yeah, and I'm wondering, yeah, rice balls. Yeah, I mean that sounds good. I mean, is it really just a bunch of white rice clumped together,
yeah,
or is there something more to it? Is there like flavor to it, or is it yeah?
no, they,
But yeah, no, yeah. I mean, in this society, yeah, and I mean, obviously, it's a much different society from our, pampered 21st century American lifestyle. Yeah, in this society, rice is this great delicacy. Most people have to eat millet.
ugh,
Uh,
I don't
ugh,
even, ugh, I don't
yeah,
even talk
gross.
about
Yeah,
millet.
yeah,
Ugh.
yeah, yeah, yeah. They talk about yeah. They can't even get it down. Yeah, they can't even stomach the millet. Yeah,
Ugh.
but yeah, a select few members of the society. Yeah. I mean, only the samurai get to get to eat the rice. I mean, that's basically yeah. These villagers, yeah, that are threatened by these bandits that are going to attack. Yeah, they basically hire the samurai by saying, "Well, we have rice. We don't have money, but we have rice."
Which
And
I
so,
thought, oh, this is gonna be really hard to recruit people because like all we can
right,
offer you is housing and food.
right,
And a lot of them are like, well, that's perfect.
yeah, mhm,
That's, I mean, I don't know if money even is even an issue. Like,
right,
as far as them being like, how much rice are we
right,
talking?
right.
Two? And also, it looked good. I've never looked at just like
Mhm.
there's no soy sauce, no seasoning, but I was like
Yeah.
in the movie enough. I was with the characters where I'm like, I bet that rice would be so sustaining. Like that would keep you
Hmm.
going for a day. I
Yeah.
guarantee it.
Yeah. Yeah. I was actually, yeah, at one point in the movie, I had the thought of, oh, is that like the secret of like these different classes? Is like the samurai are like slightly more powerful than the farmers just because the samurai get to eat the rice. And so they're able to have more energy than the farmers. The farmers, yeah, again, yeah,
Ugh,
millet, ugh,
millet.
yeah, yeah, get
Jesus
away from
Christ.
me.
Ah,
Yeah,
God.
yeah. So the farmers are like weak and yeah, just completely ineffective in everything because they have to eat this horrible food. But the samurai get to eat the rice, and so yeah, it's almost like a superpower. It's like spinach for Popeye, rice for samurai. Yeah,
And then millet for the peons.
peons. Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't know what millet or peon is, but I've millet's in cereal, right? What do we do with
Yeah, millet. Yeah, it's some kind of grain.
okay.
Yeah,
That's why
um,
I eat Rice Krispie treats because I'm like a samurai, which
that's
I've
right.
heard other people say about me often. I'm more of
Yeah,
like a
I mean,
Ronin.
yeah. I mean, rice, that's one thing, but yeah, if you combine marshmallow with it, then it's like boom, 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 boom. Yeah,
I mean, you
for
can
samurai. Yeah,
you got to go out into those marshes, get those mellows, and it's
yeah.
very hard to get. And only on it's like a kyber crystal, with the Jedi. Yeah,
Oh, right.
that's what the you have to go and get it. It's not the same. You have to. That's part of the
That's
process for
right.
being a samurai.
That's right. Yeah, yeah. Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so
No one just that no one ate meat in this movie. I don't know, like
oh,
just the
meat does not exist. Yeah, I
yeah,
mean,
not
there's
even a mention of it, not even like
right.
someone saying I could go for some. They are exclusively either eating rice or talking about how much they
Mhm.
don't want to eat millet. And
Right.
that's
Yeah.
I really like it. It put me in that. I believed in that world. I mean, it was a real world, so it helps. But like just knowing that,
Mhm.
like, yeah, rice probably tastes pretty good, especially like compared to back then. I don't know what season it is, but like I assumed it was like fall or
Right.
something. Um,
Yeah.
and it's just
Looks
like,
like
oh yeah, all we have are our farming equipment, and you can go like there's just people that walk around with swords. Go find one and ask them to help us out.
right, right. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, Kanbei is the sort of main lead samurai.
This would be a Born on the Bayou is playing now, by
Okay,
Credence.
Born on
That's
the Bayou is his song. Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
I'm just gonna pick songs from Suicide Squad.
Okay. Um, well, hopefully, yeah, you picking the songs from Suicide Squad, more thought is involved in you doing that than in the original person who chose those songs in the
I
first
mean, what
place.
a
Hopefully.
beautiful movie that. I mean, because like that's gonna be like what a B movie is to like a '50s B movie for us.
Wait,
Suicide
so
Squad
so
is gonna be one of
are,
those.
are we talking about the first Suicide Squad movie or the
The first one, the
yeah,
one that
yeah,
made no sense. I think that's
right,
gonna be that movie that in like 20 years people are like, "Have you seen one of those bad superhero movies?" And they're gonna be like,
right.
"Get it? He's an alligator." So they played Born on the Bayou. The first song you would pick if you were joking around, they did it. Uh,
That movie won an Oscar, by the way.
no, it didn't.
Yeah, it it
For
to, it
what?
it totally did. Yeah, I think for like special effects or something, but none of the Avengers movies won Oscars.
That's
Suicide Squad won an Oscar. Uh, yeah, I will never stop complaining about that.
that's absurd. On it like that.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
I've never believed in like
yeah,
corruption more than that right there.
yeah. No, it's pretty bad.
Because I saw that the Justice League won like most hype moment when the flashlight goes backwards in time, and like
Oh
that was
yeah,
not the most hype moment.
yeah.
There
That
is
was
no
ridiculous.
way people voted that the most.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I mean, it was like, yeah, there was like a great scene from Avengers Endgame. Yep, that makes sense. There was yeah, all of the Spider-Men together from Spider-Man No Way Home. And then number one, The Flash. Like, is this a joke?
Yeah, I would have started booing. Are you kidding me? That's
Did like a huge group of people just like conspire together to say, hey, wouldn't it be hilarious if we all voted for the Flash scene and that one? Okay, let's do that. Let's do that. Yeah.
that makes more sense. Like there,
Yeah,
this
yeah,
is like this like council of people in tuxedos, and they're like, all
right,
right, send us the superhero clips, and they're just like,
right, right.
you know what, dude? Just say the Flash. Just
Yeah,
say it, dude.
yeah.
I'm gonna vote the Flash. I'm gonna do it. I swear to God.
And I mean, and I'm obviously a Marvel partisan, but there are cool for me. The moment that I would have voted for from the Justice League movie was the scene
The ending.
when wait, what's that?
When the credits started, that was my most hyped moment.
The credits, yeah. Oh,
It's
snarky,
over. Yeah.
yeah. But no, no. But seriously, no. The moment when actually yeah, there was a cool moment when the Flash was like rushing, and when like Superman is like following the Flash,
Oh
the
yeah.
Flash with his eyes, and the Flash is like, what the
Yeah.
yeah, that was like the one. great moment of that movie.
Yeah, they didn't even pick the most hyped moment.
Mhm.
Because I've seen people talk about like, you know what, like that clip on its own is like
Yeah.
really good.
Mhm.
No, I haven't seen anyone talk about the that thing where the Flash goes like this and then he runs really weird,
Right.
where it's like run like you're going backwards in time. So he's like,
Yeah.
so that's yeah. All right,
That
let's
guy's that guy's like totally canceled, by the way, right?
oh
Ezra Miller.
the
I,
exact opposite. I've been really invested in the politics of
oh,
DC
really?
and
Yeah.
so Henry Cavill, he's out.
Oh, yeah.
Um
Yeah. He's out. Yeah.
I think Dwayne the Rock Johnson is out. I think but they were like, no, we're keeping Ezra Miller.
Right. Okay. Even though he's got like some ranch or something.
Like he has a ranch and an island
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
where where they're
Where
like
where 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 he like hunts humans or something. I don't know.
I mean, if we're being honest, yes,
I don't
but
want to. I don't want to commit slander on the podcast, but I mean, I have not heard good things.
I mean, because you're like, what did he do? Hunt humans? It's like, no, he kidnapped teenagers and he hid
Oh, my bad. Okay,
the
well, that's
the idea that he hunts humans is like probably less serious because I don't than like what he actually did.
right, right, right.
Um, but they're like, no, we also does not portray. We'll stop talking about the Justice
Yeah.
League real quick, but like he doesn't portray the Flash at all. Like at no like there's like 5 Flash characters, and he doesn't. You couldn't
Mhm.
say he was any of them. You couldn't say like, oh, they're taking inspiration from Barry Allen and mixing him with Wally West. It's like, no, this is just like a guy attempting to do like Sheldon from Big Bang Theory,
Uh-huh.
and like there's no like there but the fact that the studio's like we got to keep him this kid the stuff that they do in the jet like the fact that they're like what color is his lightning yellow blue it's blue lightning it's just like you're trying to upset people that's the only
Uh-huh.
explanation and they're like we're keeping
Yeah.
Ezra stays Cavill's out the guy that you all wanted he's out we're keeping the guy that's going to jail we're going to keep him out of
Right.
prison
Right.
so yeah the first guy he's the leader. He's the best one. They
Okay.
get to a good start because he's like, yeah,
Yeah.
I'll help you, and I know how we can go about recruiting samurai. And you
Right.
get
Okay. And then basically with him is this younger guy,
mm,
Katsushiro. And he's yeah, he early on asks to be this guy's disciple, and the guy like doesn't really want to take a disciple, but very reluctantly says, "Yeah, all right." And yeah, and this younger guy, yeah, I think he's portrayed as sort of like a little bit of a rich kid, um, although uh, honorable in his own way, but
yeah,
but
and
but but
also
also a little bit naive, I think. Yeah.
yeah, the kind of rich which is just he can buy rice. Like he's like it's not
Oh, he's loaded. Yeah.
he's got rice money. Like and not even it was a good moment and I liked it, but just that like what Rich was back then too was just like
Right.
he was like, you can go buy more. This like not even like for the like this will hold you over until you get back home. Like
Right.
that's but he is like generous with money, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
I don't
Mm-hmm.
know, but and it's kind of like a shame he has that he's actually rich and like sheltered.
Right. Yeah. 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 Mm-hmm.
And he's
Yeah.
kind of the what would usually be the more traditional protagonist in an adventure story.
Yeah. Yeah. No, he's definitely the sort of like ingenue character. Yeah.
And explain to people who don't know who ingenue is.
Well, ingenue is it's actually a lot of times used more for young female characters, but yeah, it's
Mm,
just like the young sort of naive character. Yeah.
okay, I've never heard that term before.
Yeah. I hear it used a lot in reference to Audrey Hepburn in her characters a lot of times,
Okay,
but yeah. So anyway, yeah, the young character, um, but yeah. we have the older master and the young disciple. So that's a pretty classic kind of dynamic there. And then this master wants to recruit more samurai to help him out. And there's this there's this like cool sequence where he asks the younger guy to take a stick and stand next to the doorway of this hut, and basically whenever a samurai comes in, he will try and hit the samurai with the stick, and that will basically be a test. And the first person that goes through, when the younger guy tries to hit him, the guy like catches it, and he's like really offended that this test was even done, and this guy's just like, no, I don't want to have anything to do with you guys, and so that guy leaves, and he's not part of the Seven Samurai.
Yeah,
But
just
then
completely backfires.
it just doesn't work at all. I mean, the guy like demonstrates himself to actually be like a good samurai, because he like blocks it, but he's like, no, that's forget you guys. Yeah. So
I like that concept too, where he's just like, you were gonna
yeah,
hit me
yeah.
with a stick,
Right.
and they're like, we were testing. He's like, okay, you know what? You guys are like, that's so lame.
Right. Yeah.
He
So
had a
that's
pretty
the
like realistic reaction. Like I was like, that was the thing. Like every
yeah.
character was very believable, and I was even because I was like, oh, he's the guy that's eventually going to come back, and or he's like the evil, bad, mean one. But he was just like, I was just like, no, he's
Yeah, no.
absolutely right. Like you should not have done that. Like
Right,
that's
right.
also, what if you got him? What if you
Hmm.
did hit him?
Right. Well, yeah, we'll see. We'll see that what if will come true later on. But yeah, so then the second samurai, the master once again says, hey, yeah, go up with the stick, yeah. And the second samurai comes. The second samurai like sees this older master guy who he presumably knows, and he kind of like laughs, and he's like, and he like somehow knows to not even go through the doorway, and he's like, no.
Mhm.
And so this guy's like, I mean, it's not clear exactly what lesson you're supposed to take from it compared to the other guy, but it seems to be something like, oh, this guy's even better because this guy knows to not even go through the doorway.
Well,
This guy like avoids the test altogether. Yeah.
and that like because that's the because I expect, okay, it's Seven Samurai, and
Yeah.
then we're gonna get an introduction where they're gonna try to hit him with a stick, and we're gonna see how they react each time.
Right.
But it wasn't like, oh, this is the fast one, this is the smart one,
Right.
this is
No.
it was
Yeah.
just like that guy was fast, but like the smart one probably would, like he would have done it too, like he probably would have gotten it too. So it's not that
Yeah.
like it's just showing people's react. It
Hmm.
wasn't like this is the demolitions expert and it's just
Right. Yeah.
we're just asking who we can, and
Right.
you know,
Yeah.
you get a little glimpse into their worlds, and it's like, oh, they have a past with each other, okay. And oh,
Right.
he's older, so he knows like what, you know, how you can test a samurai, but you invite
Mhm.
also like you have people being like, are you a samurai? Come into our shack. And
Right.
then the real test is just anyone who says no. Like I don't,
Right.
I'm not
Yeah.
gonna do
Pretty
that.
much. Pretty much. Um, so yeah, at this point we're only up to three samurai so far, but we've got this guy makes three, and then basically the older master like goes off into the village, and he comes back. He's like, oh yeah, this guy that I know, I've recruited this guy, so that's four, and
Yeah, that
yeah,
when the fourth one comes in, that's when I realized, oh, it's not like the Avengers.
it,
It's not because
not
it was
exactly,
just
no,
like I
no.
found another one.
Yeah, hey, this guy, yeah.
And it's like, oh, great. It wasn't really important how they got him or that he got him. It's
Right.
just it's just a story. So sometimes you get a moment, and sometimes it's just like, well, now we only need three more.
Right. And the three more, I mean, I think that there are somewhat interesting stories for these last three. So there's one guy who is clearly like a really impressive swordsman that they actually like see doing these demonstrations and being like challenged to duels and stuff. And again, this is another sort of like really common trope that you see that Kurosawa maybe invented as well, where yeah, like this guy is like having a duel with this guy, and like initially they're just using like bamboo sticks, and basically like the guy like hits another guy on the shoulder, and he's like, so you lose, and the other guy's like, no, I didn't lose, and he's like, yeah, you did. If we were using swords, you would be headless by now. And the other guy's like, well, no, let's use swords then. Yeah, no,
Which is
let's do it. And the guy's like, no, do not throw your life away by challenging me to a duel. The guy's like, no, I'm going to challenge you to a duel, and of course he does, and the guy gets killed. And so that basically demonstrates what a great swordsman this other guy is, and so they're very impressed by him, and they uh, and I think this guy, like, again, a kind of classic thing. They like ask him like a couple of times
Mhm.
before they're able to convince him to come in. Yeah. So
I do love the. I mean, I don't. I really want to see like every culture remake this movie the way like the
right.
cowboy one was done, because it's so like I
Yeah.
think like did every culture like have this like time period where you would go to a town and there'd be people who are like, I'm gonna fight you to the death, and then
Right.
people would just be like, hey, those guys are gonna have a duel right now. And then you just like watch these people fight, because we had that for a while, like
We
President's Day.
did.
Like
Oh
we
yeah.
that was
Oh yeah.
that was a core thing
Absolutely.
we did back then. And then I wanted like
Hmm.
every weapon did every cult, like I would love to see it remade 100 times in every
Yeah.
culture.
Yeah. Yeah. Um. So we're up to what, five now?
Yeah,
So
I know because there's one guy, the joke guy. I know him, but I don't remember who the sixth.
so then the sixth guy is a guy that one of the other samurai finds just like chopping wood, and
Oh yeah,
yeah, and basically this guy is like, he's like not that skilled, but he's like kind of funny and like good natured and stuff, and so they're like, okay, well, yeah, no, we like your we like the cut of your jib, whatever.
I
So yeah,
I
come on,
really
yeah.
like that setup of he's not that good, but one we just need someone,
Mhm.
and seems pretty chill, and like
Right.
that got him onto the team. And
Yeah. Mhm. Yeah, and this guy actually like introduces himself as, I am whatever his name is, of the wood chopping school, and it's not clear if that's meant to be like a joke or
or if
not,
it's
but
real.
yeah, or if it's just, no, yeah, no, I just chop wood all day, yeah.
Because
Yeah.
it didn't occur to me that that could have been a joke. I was just like, oh, okay, so like, oh, it's the wood chopping. Because I see that in anime and stuff too, where it's like, we use the technique of this to hit to so we can cut boulders in half. You have to
Hmm.
really practice though. That's the key. You
Right.
can cut a boulder in half, but you
Right.
have to like want to.
Hmm. Hmm. Right.
And the last member is the guy that I did not expect to like.
Yeah. Yeah. So the last member is the guy who is played by Toshiro Mifune. And again, you know, that's probably one of the only Japanese actors that I can name offhand. And I've only been mentioning his name so much because it's like, if you've ever seen a poster for a Kurosawa movie, this is the guy that you've seen on the poster. Like he's like probably the most well-known Japanese actor. Uh, and 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 in the poster for this movie, it looks like he's the main character, but he's not really the main character. Yeah, he's more just sort of like the comic relief character. But and so this guy is a guy that you see early on, just sort of like following around the other samurai, and sort of just like making fun of them, and like uh, saying weird things and stuff. And apparently, he actually ad-libbed a lot of his like behavior and dialogue and stuff. Apparently Kurosawa just kind of like let him do his thing, and you can kind of tell, yeah, from the way that he does stuff in the movie, and yeah, and it turns out that this guy, and yeah, and this guy's name is listed as Kikuchiyo, but within the movie itself, the characters call him Kukyo. At least that's like the name that I was hearing was like Kukyo, and I don't know if that's just like a diminutive form of the name or what. Yeah, unfortunately, I don't know enough about Japanese culture to know quite what's going on there. But so this character,
I have to assume that's one of those things where it's because with the Japanese language, like it's
mhm,
so complicated. If like,
right?
because it's like, did you ever watch My Hero Academia?
Mhm,
Okay, this is where it's relevant because there's a guy named Deku, right, the main character.
mhm,
And so the reason he has that name is his bully was like, oh yeah, the whatever their version of letters is, you can also read them differently. And if you just read it differently, it says Deku, which means like you're a dumb guy. And so like that's like impossible to translate into English. So
right.
if you like they really sneak it because it's like his name is Deku, we can't change his name. So for the English translation, what they did is because his real name is Zeku. So they
Mhm,
have the bully go like defenseless Ezeku, and you're supposed to be like, oh, that's why he's named Deku because defenseless Eku. So like it's
okay, yeah,
they have a very complicated pun system that I have yet to like fully
yeah,
crack, but their puns are elaborate because
uh-huh,
like everything can. So I'm sure it's a really fun joke if you know.
right. Well, at least one joke with this character that is understandable is that once again they do that test where the young disciple stands with the stick, and Kukyu comes in and he gets hit with the stick. It's just like completely knocked down. Yeah, and he has apparently been drinking, and he's like stumbling around, and yeah, he's just like very sort of buffoonish, and yeah, just not just does not seem to be. I mean, he has a sword, but otherwise does not seem to behave in any way like a samurai. And
Yeah,
that turns out to be because he actually is not a samurai in terms of the fact that if you define a samurai as somebody who is born into the class of samurai, he is not born into that class. He is of the farmer class, and he is just going around with a sword and dressing like a samurai, trying to act like he is a samurai, but he's not really a samurai in the same way that the other six characters are.
which for medieval times, a
Yeah.
lot of like you know the term a bastard sword.
No, no, I haven't heard that.
Well, yeah, it's so this is the word how it's like oh a guy without a father. What in medieval times? Because if you were a knight, you had to be born into it and
Right.
stuff. But if your dad was a knight and he had you out of wedlock,
Ah,
they would take you in, and you wouldn't be able to get that high status wise, but you'd be like this like pseudo knight that
okay.
like
Yeah.
you still get like a lot of the stuff. You're just not, and you get like more like perks than being a civilian, but they're like you'll never be in like you'll be like a bodyguard, you'll be like a fighter. You
Right.
won't be showing up in parades.
Right. It's
So
kind of, yeah, yeah, kind of like in Game of Thrones with Jon Snow.
I didn't see Game of Thrones.
Oh, you haven't seen Game? Yeah, in Game of Thrones in that world, if you're a bastard, you have the last name Snow.
Oh,
That like delineates you as a
you don't
as an
get
illegit
solo
as that's right. Yeah, yeah. It's kind of like that, but not quite as on the nose. Yeah,
because you only have one mother, you don't have a father, so you're solo.
yeah. Um, but yeah, and that character like he he decides to go become a guard of the wall that like separates the society from like the wild parts, and that's like what a lot of the bastard children do because uh yeah, they can't really get married or have a regular family, so
Hmm.
they just do that.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Yeah.
There's a game called Kingdom Come Deliverance that's like very like you start the game illiterate and you have to like go someone has to teach you like there's skill books, but you need to go learn how to read and like reading is a skill you develop and stuff. And you
Hmm.
have to take like tests and stuff, and it's very uh they try to be as realistic as possible.
Hmm.
So they explain that like even the limited amount like you're not even allowed to speak out against the king as like your character because it's like no one did that back then. Like that was
Right.
like they're like we're not going to modernize
Realistic.
politics either.
Yeah.
Like your character's like I believe in God and the king is great and it's like that's what most people believe. And
Yeah.
you're not the guy who's like there's even you see another guy talking about revolution, everyone's just like yeah that guy's gonna
Hmm.
you get that's how you get beheaded. So
Right.
even if you agree,
Hmm.
uh, but it's like oh you were a bastard and that's why they even let you hold a sword because otherwise they mentioned like you would have been killed for like the stuff you pulled, but like
Right.
you're just high enough a status that they can't just kill you for no reason.
Right. Right.
Uh,
Interesting.
but this comic relief character who gets hit, which to his credit,
Yeah.
he does hold on after getting hit in the back of the head with a stick.
Hmm.
So he's tough. And he
Right.
was drunk, which the samurais are saying like, well, a real samurai wouldn't let themselves get so drunk that they would
Right.
be cut off guard. And see, he
Hmm.
wasn't a real samurai. He also carries like family records that
Yeah.
proves he's a samurai,
Yeah. It's weird.
which
Yeah.
no one believes. And they
Right.
immediately go like, "You stole that, right? You stole that." And he's
Right.
like, "No."
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, he's kind of like he's the character that constantly has to like prove himself and be the toughest. He's got a little bit of a sort of chip on his shoulder, but he turns out to be heroic in his own way. But yeah, so
And when you find out what that chip on his shoulder is, I was like, I mean, I think he
right,
has the most like character.
he does. Yeah, I mean, his story is sort of like the most kind of emotional. Yeah, probably in terms of yeah how it develops throughout the whole movie,
They
and
also
yeah,
don't accept him into the group.
not
They're
really,
like,
no.
oh, it's we're just gonna show up with six people. That's probably enough.
Right.
And then he just
Yeah, yeah,
follows
yeah,
them.
yeah, yeah. And he's like, I'm here. They're like, yeah. So anyway, Six Samurai. That's the name of this movie. Six Samurai. Yeah, but make sure it says that on the poster. Okay. Yeah. So,
There was a really funny moment where like they're walking down like just a long trail, and
uh-huh.
then he's just like walking casually behind them, and when they
Mhm.
pause, he just goes and he acts like he's like looking at stuff. Like
Yeah.
it, it had a lot. That guy was really good in this movie. Like
Yeah, he's
how
great. Yeah.
like I and now that you say that that was improvised,
Right.
like
Yeah. Hmm.
that's probably why he feels so real because it's just like
Hmm.
okay, they're gonna turn around. What does your guy do? He's like, no, I was looking at these flowers.
Right.
I'm not following. And they're like, stop following me. I'm not following you. I'm just walking. I'm just.
Yeah.
Eventually, they start missing him because like they don't see him anymore, and they're like, it would have been good. And he's like, I'm here. He's like,
Right.
he was waiting for them to admit that, and then he's like, and then
Hmm.
he's like, all right, let's. Go. You can come join us.
Yeah. Yeah.
I really like that character, and
Yeah. Yeah. That is. Mhm.
there's a guy in Hell's Paradise who's like a criminal,
Hmm.
like whatever ancient yakuza was or whatever. But he like slowly you start slowly seeing he's a lot more honorable than
Hmm.
you assume. He did kill a bunch of people, which I don't think the
Right.
story resolves that issue. But
Mm.
like oh, I think I'm seeing a lot of inspiration in that guy here.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah.
Um, But so we just covered the setup for the movie, which is like an
Yeah.
hour. All of that was like at the first hour, I think,
Yeah.
or intermission.
We're probably about at intermission now. But yeah, I mean there's really not too much more to say in terms of real content. I mean, of course, the rest of the movie is just their plans of how they're going to defend the village against the bandits and how they do that. The younger disciple character has a romance with a girl from the village, and that's it's it's heavily implied that it's not going to end well because he's a samurai and she's from the farmer class, but they at least have their fun for a little while.
Yeah,
Uh,
the explanation is sort of just like, look, everyone thought they were gonna die.
right,
I want to. I think they were like, I want to take it. Cause the dad is upset. Which at first I'm like, yeah, that guy. Which I still am though. That's like I don't know what the standards were for being a good father back then, but like
right,
the whole town just watches him at least twice that we've
right,
seen have watched him chase his daughter around crying,
right,
and
right.
so
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, I mean, basically, yeah, a lot of this movie is just sort of like an action movie with just a lot of sequences of how they actually defend the town. And
oh, I heard
huh?
this was like what popularized, or it might be the first example of battle in the rain at the climax.
Oh, really? Okay. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah. That is a kind of major point. Yeah, towards the end. Yeah,
Which
where it starts raining. Yeah.
because in this it matters.
It does. Yeah.
It heavily affects terrain, and you see like how it affects even moving around. And in
Right.
most film, there's have you seen Equalizer?
No, no, I haven't.
Denzel Washington. It's pretty good. It's not the best.
Hmm.
It's a movie you wouldn't turn it off if it was on TV.
Sure. Yeah.
Um, but the final battle takes place in a warehouse, and the sprinkler system goes off, and that's why it's raining for the big climactic fight. Which is like they'll make
Mm.
any excuse to have rain come down.
Hmm. Well, huh. Yeah. Yeah. There's also a scene like that in Kindergarten Cop. You seen that movie?
I've seen the movie. I don't remember the battle
Yeah,
and
yeah. It's similar. Yeah, towards the end. Yeah, where they're in the elementary school and like yeah, the villain like pulls the fire alarm. Yeah, and so like the sprinklers are going off, and so they're like in the bathroom of the elementary school, with like the sprinklers going off and stuff. Yeah,
oh,
yeah.
okay. So I guess Equalizer took it from Kindergarten Cop. Not even
I guess.
a great
Although
movie. Arnold is unstoppable.
he is unstoppable. Yeah, I mean he can do anything. He can be a dad trying to get Turbo Man. He can be.
Selling mattresses or something. I'm
That's right.
unclear on what his job was.
Yeah, he can
I
be.
I love like a dumb action movie, even doing any justification, just even explaining that he has a job. I mean, even
Right,
that alone is funny to me that he's a salesman.
right,
Uh,
right. Hmm.
we're not going to
Yeah,
talk about Jingle All the Way. I know.
yeah. Not again. We'll cover it
Next
next
Christmas.
Christmas
It's
again.
Jingle All the
Yeah.
Way too with Larry the Cable Guy that honestly I kind of liked. So this might not be a joke. We might actually talk about it.
As long as it's better than the Grinch. Uh,
Not
okay.
possible. Uh yeah,
Um,
also like one of the samurai, like a couple of them die in the movie. One of them
mhm.
dies and I had to rewind because I thought I missed it.
Yeah. Um, yeah. Basically, yeah. By the end of the movie, there are only there are only four. Oh no. There's only three samurai left. Yeah.
Mm.
Yes. So four die. Um, yeah, including yeah, QQ. Yeah, Toshiro Mifune's character. Yeah, and he's really the last to die, and that's sort of yeah, the climactic sort of sad scene that happens when his character dies. But yeah, the movie pretty much ends with yeah, so you have the old master, his younger disciple, and then the one guy that he went into town to find that he already knew. Yeah, yeah. So I think those are the three guys left. All of the other samurai, you see swords put into the earth on these mounds up at the top, and they're looking up at the graves of the four guys that they've lost, and all of the townspeople, all the farmers and everything, they're singing, they're celebrating and everything. They've fought off the bandits, um, and but the samurai are not joining in the celebration. The young daughter that the guy had a relationship with, she walks by him, and then she walks and she goes with the townspeople and sings with them, and yeah, I believe the movie ends with the old master saying, "Well, yes, this was a victory for the townspeople, but not for us." And yeah, very poignant moment there.
Very poignant, and I love any ending that's sort of just like, all right, uh, we can go back to the city. Maybe someone else needs a village defended, or we're kind of
Yeah.
just gonna keep doing this. I mean,
This is kind of our thing,
yeah.
where we're the upper class, and yet we're completely dependent upon the lower classes to need us.
And if only that tradition carried over.
Right.
If only.
Yeah.
If only we had some sort of samurai type that upheld like order, and we're like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
but we owe the people, so we can't not help them. And I'm like,
Right.
oh, it's a fantasy. This is some sort of this is some sort of sci-fi
Right.
movie. There was also, I really like the scene with the comic relief character and the
Mm-hmm.
farmers and
Mm-hmm.
the weapons and armor, and
Oh
like
yeah.
that was probably the highlight of the film for me,
Yeah.
was him like figuring out like, you guys looted these weapons, didn't you? And I'm being like, yeah. And he's like, all right, let's just get it. And he comes to the samurai, like, look, I got weapons, I got armor, like we can like.
Mm-hmm.
All the other samurai are like, that's incredibly dishonest. They looted that. They're like, the farmers probably killed them. Um,
Right.
I thought was a bit of a leap, but they were like, I was like,
Yeah.
maybe they're like, oh, they found wounded people and killed them. I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, maybe that's the accusation, but they're all mad at the farmers now, and they're kind of like, well, now I'm rooting for the bandits. I think one of them's like, I don't even want to help these people anymore. I hope they die. And
Right.
then
Right. Mm-hmm.
the comic relief character is like, you guys are talking from this position. You don't know what it's like to be a farmer. You don't know
Right.
what it's like to have samurai come in and
Yeah.
raid your village and just take your resources,
Mm-hmm.
and you have to live off millet, and you have to give
Mm-hmm.
your rice
Yeah.
up to them, and then
Yeah.
you guys have no idea what it's like for the common man,
Right.
and they're just like, you were a farmer, weren't you? And that was a
Mm-hmm.
really nice window into like this guy's complex with samurai, and like
Right.
him being like, I'm a samurai. And also, oh, where'd he get that scroll and that sword? He
Yeah.
probably looted it off a samurai
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
who,
Yeah.
who carries the family scroll. Also, he did not maintain. I think the most obvious sign that that's not his scroll is he like wraps it up like it's a
Right.
like, like it's a paper towel.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
I also really love the scene with him where he was riding on the horse, and there's like that great sort of like sight gag where like you see him on the horse, and then he goes like behind this like
Oh
bridge or
yeah.
something, and then you see the horse come out without him, and then everybody's like laughing like ah, and then he comes out and he's like limping, he's like ah.
Like, because one of the characters says, he's like, we need some laughter and we need someone to like uplift the people.
Right. Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
I have never believed in a comic relief character as much as this guy. Like,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
like how he's like good with kids, and he's like helping people not freak out about the fact
Right.
that they're getting raided. Like he like genuinely does help them with his humor, and like
Oh
his
yeah.
humor isn't saying bad jokes. His humor is he's just a funny guy.
Right, right,
Like,
right.
and it's very natural, and it was improvised, so that, and it really helps. But like,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I have never believed in the necessity of a comic relief character as much as in this film.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's very clear, yeah, which characters are which. It's very sort of like archetypal. the way that they're kind of like laid out and everything, but in a cool and interesting way. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, how about we could speculate on other ways to make a Seven Samurai film? Because Samurai and
Mhm.
Cowboys, those have
Yeah.
been taken, but
Right.
we still Medieval Knights has not been taken, and
Mm.
because
Hmm.
Samurai had a Ronin, which was like their version of like bastard knights, where it's like
Hmm.
you
Right.
don't have enough prestige to be a full samurai, or your master died, so you can't get. So it's like
Right.
knights had the same thing, and they had you. So all to remake this movie, you need
Hmm.
villagers, and you
Yep.
need a class of people that have access to like a weapon that can defend themselves
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
that has a duelist nature. I guess you a class of people that is devoted to fighting.
Right.
um Medieval knights, you can do that.
Hmm.
You could, I don't know what else there is.
Yeah. I mean, you could do it with like military contractors. That would be probably a much more dismal, darker version of you know. I
Yeah,
mean
yeah.
that's probably the thing that actually is going on right now.
What's their name? BlackRock or something like that? Blackwater.
Blackwater. Yeah.
Yeah, BlackRock's the company that owns the world, but Blackwater is a so that's like a here's how you modernize it, right? Is how are these people going to recruit Blackwater mercenaries? They go on the dark web or whatever,
Right.
because you need to I don't know how it works in the Magnificent Seven, but I assume they also go out to like a big town. I
Yeah.
don't know if you can
Probably. Yeah.
find mercenaries that easy now, but you can find them online.
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
So yeah, I guess if you were going to modernize it,
Hmm.
because I'm not taking a political stance here, but like if there
Oh
was a
no.
town that was being attacked by like I guess modern times, let's say a gang.
Hmm.
If you made a movie where they went up to cops and asked for help, people would be like, that's probably not realistic, because they would say no. I don't like I'm not I don't like I don't think you can do that in this culture now. Like
Right.
having a group of people devoted to fighting and doing it for like just housing for a bit
Hmm.
and food.
Hmm. Right. Right.
Once you
Yeah.
get pensions, you can't bribe people with food anymore.
That's true. That's true. Yeah. Yeah. Bribing people with food in 21st century America is not not really a. Oh, I can get you all of the Del Taco you want. Big deal.
Okay, all right. Now that you say
And
that,
I love Del Taco,
well,
and I
okay, because
wish
I'm
they were a
like,
sponsor.
now who's getting political? I
Right.
don't. I was like, careful what you say, man. I don't. But no, okay. Here's a modern version of it. It takes place in a. This is a Disney. This is a Disney show, but
Uh-huh.
it's in a high school, and there's just bullies, and so these kids are like, "There's a tough
Right.
school we can go to, and we'll just ask them for help, and
Yeah.
then we'll pay them in Del Taco because they're
Mhm.
college students, maybe."
Actually, that was sort of the plot of there was that very early Simpsons episode where Bart was getting bullied by Nelson, and that was more of a parody of the movie Patton. But yeah, yeah, where basically his grandpa went to the military store guy and got all those supplies and stuff, and they basically trained all the kids to fight against Nelson. And,
Hmm.
yeah,
Okay, so that's been done.
yeah,
I thought
yeah.
I
No,
had some.
I think probably just about every variation of this movie probably has been done.
Because if you even
Uh,
if you were gonna say sci-fi, it's like Star Wars has done
oh yeah,
every Japanese movie.
oh yeah.
That's it's all been they've had a grip on that adaption.
Yeah,
Uh Also, you know what I just we're kind of done talking about, but you know what
I think we are. Yeah.
but just like something because you remember Bullet Train?
Oh yeah,
You saw the movie?
I did. Yeah.
Because my friend just
With
finished.
Bad Bunny. Yeah.
So yes, finally.
Yeah.
Now we're cooking with gas.
Absolutely, yeah.
My friend just finished the book, and just how it's like, because we both had the opinion that it felt, the book felt very Tarantino-esque.
Hmm.
Uh, if Tarantino was good, that's how it felt to me.
Ooh, snarky.
But I was like, we were talking about it, and just how it's like, well, Tarantino was doing Japanese films too. Like Kill Bill is a
Oh,
remake,
absolutely.
so
Oh
it's
yeah.
not that, oh, Bullet Train reminds me of a Tarantino film. Tarantino, I just finally experienced a story that Tarantino has taken inspiration from. And that's why, because I'm American. So, like, oh, I
Right.
saw Tarantino first. I didn't see the movies that he was like, I want to do
Right.
that. I want to do that. Kill Bill was a remake of a Japanese film. It's like,
Right.
you knew that? Because I didn't know that.
Well, I mean, I mean, I knew that Tarantino was very influenced by Eastern cinema. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
I mean, yeah, yeah, more so like the Hong Kong stuff. I know he was really into, but yeah, I'm sure Japanese stuff as well. Yeah.
I don't know the name of it, but I have a friend who was just watching. They watched like the movie that Kill Bill was, I guess, based
Oh,
on
really?
is the word,
Okay.
because
Yeah.
it's like it's the exact plot of that.
Right.
And you'll see like Tarantino does, the big blood effects, that's from the Japanese film like
Mm-hmm.
hell,
Mm-hmm.
because
Mm-hmm.
it went
Yep.
from
Yep.
sword slashes to bullet wounds that
Right.
and they go like, oh, and then they're like, well, we shot a guy, now we got to take him to, I think just Tarantino's house, where he wrote some lines that he's gonna say uh for this film. He's gonna improv. He said he's gonna
Well, that
improv it.
well, that was in Pulp Fiction.
Yeah, with
Yeah, yeah,
Marvin.
yeah, 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 where
Yeah.
he played the character. Yeah, and yeah, that was incredibly uncomfortable when he started using the N word to Samuel L. Jackson's character. And yeah,
For because Samuel L. Jackson's character doesn't really react to it, so it's like, why is this
no,
in the?
yeah, yeah, because he was directed to not. Yes,
Like, I didn't like Tarantino until I truly appreciated what he did in Pulp Fiction, which was
right,
wrote a character where he's just gonna say the N word, and then he's just, no one can do it because it's his film. Like,
right,
you have
right.
to respect it at the very least, where he's just like, I'm
Do
going to be
you?
playing this part.
Yeah, yeah. I mean that. Yeah, that part. That movie is great in general, but that part of it has not aged well.
I like the idea of him like in the writing room, and he's like, "Oh, you know what? I should be. I think it'd be fun if I played one of the parts in this movie."
Right. Yeah. Now
Uh,
that's I mean me as somebody who likes Tarantino, I think maybe more than you do. That's one of his big misfires. I think is where he casts himself in movies. There's what he did in Pulp Fiction. There's what he did in Django Unchained, where he shows up at the end playing a guy with with either a British or an Australian accent for some reason. It's like, why even try and do that? I mean, first off, that makes no sense within the setting of this movie, and also you can't do it well. Why? Why? Yeah.
I would love if in Django Unchained, they accidentally shoot someone,
Yeah.
and then they're like, "Oh, I know a guy," and it's just the exact same scene in
Right.
every film.
Right. Right.
It's
This
it's like
seems
it's
so
like.
familiar.
And it's like, oh, all these movies are about people coming into contact with this family line that's all
Right.
played by Tarantino. So if you watch Inglourious Bastards, they accidentally shoot one of the German leaders. It's like, oh, I know a guy, and we can take him to his house, and it's just he's like, my wife doesn't like coffee, and then
It's
what is
it's
that?
it's it's actually about how Tarantino is actually a Highlander. He's like he's existed. He's been an immortal throughout all of these different ages and epochs. Yeah.
And every time it's just like, what is this? Boo! And then just no
Yeah.
one, and so that's his family line. It's his
Yeah.
heritage, and it's not hate.
He has always existed. He's always used racial slurs, but it's cool when he doesn't.
He actually, his great great grandfather used it before it was even a slur. Like the word didn't exist yet. But
Mhm.
when you watch the samurai movie that Tarantino makes, they accidentally kill one of the people, and they have to take him to one of Tarantino's characters, and he just goes off on, his famous speech at the end.
Right. Yeah.
Um, we're done. I don't know if that was a.
I think we're done. I think we're done. Yeah. Yeah.
What'd you think of the film? I really like the film. I was really satisfied with it. I won't watch it again for a while, but for how long it was, I wasn't like, dang, that was exhausting.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I definitely enjoyed it. It's, it's a slow movie, but it's not slow in terms of like, it just takes its time
Mm-hmm.
with a very simple story, but it unfolds in an interesting way. And yeah, I would say um, to anybody who normally, if a 3 hour black and white movie that's not in English, um, that's probably going to be a barrier to entry for a lot of people. But this is a movie that I think, yeah, again, anybody who wants to consider themselves somewhat of a film buff, like you need to see this movie. Like this is just a very important movie, and it's a movie that like lives up to the hype.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's a movie everybody talks about, but when you watch it, you can actually see, oh, I see why this movie is so renowned. It's
Because I watching it at no point was I like, oh, this has aged.
no, not at all. Yeah,
Like I like you don't. I mean, because it's like, well, it takes place in the past, so all of this is like, this just and it's uh like at no point was I like anything felt like outdated. Like the acting, I was like impressed by, and it's like if you want to like watch stuff, it's like well, this is like what a lot of stuff you're gonna see is based off. So you kind of have to
right,
watch this if you're gonna watch. If
absolutely,
you're
yeah,
like, I want to get into Bugs Life, I want to get into
right.
cowboy films. If you want to
Hmm.
truly appreciate Bugs Life, you
Oh yeah,
literally have to watch Seven Samurai. If
yeah,
I mean that,
yeah.
so like you got to get your kids watching that before they can even watch. Did they do a sequel to Bugs Life?
Not that I know of.
They did
No,
a Finding Nemo sequel, which they already
they did.
found him, so there's no
Yeah,
sequel. But they didn't do a
right.
Bugs Life.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, if a sequel comes out to that, yeah, you need to be prepared for it. Yeah,
Yeah.
by
Which I'm
watching
looking
this movie.
forward
Yeah,
to the sequel to Seven Samurai. I know it hasn't happened yet, but hopefully we'll get that new
yeah,
sequel.
that's
That
right.
I
Mhm.
like. I think Suicide Squad like that really is a representation of like what a modern B movie is because
Hmm.
like
Yeah,
that like the thing I've seen is like
yeah,
sci-fi B movies they weren't meant to be bad.
that's right. Yeah, a modern B movie with a huge budget. Yeah, uh,
Yeah.
that, that wasn't supposed to be a B movie. Was supposed to make back its money and whatever. But
And
nah,
then
yeah.
some, and even more money as like
But then
a.
retroactively, no, we were actually trying to make a B movie. Yeah, yeah,
I love that. I love when they're like, it's a throwback.
right.
Because that's the thing with B movies is they weren't B movies when they came out. They were just bad movies.
Well, I think I think
Or I'm wrong.
like maybe back in the 40s and 50s, I think there was actually a system where like when people went to see movies, there would be like double features, and like the first feature would be like, you
The
know,
A movie.
yeah, like the A movie, like with like
Oh,
A list stars, and then the B movie would have like less famous people in it. I think.
oh, okay. So it's like
Yeah, yeah, mhm,
that makes sense. You know what I
yeah.
saw? I do I do food delivery as a job because my life kind
Mhm.
of fell apart. But I picked up from this barbecue place that had a C rating, and they were giving me attitude when I got in there. And it's like, you guys aren't like allowed to be open, are you? Like
Hmm.
they were like, let's hurry up. And I'm like, I know that you guys like bombed your health rating because it's on the window. I don't think you get to be like, shouldn't you be like holding like an apology? Like you should like have like a sign that says like, look, we messed up when you get like a
Yeah, yeah. I never see anything below a B. Yeah,
yeah, I mean, I've never seen a D rated restaurant in my
right,
life.
right.
This was the first time I've seen a C.
Well, I mean,
And I worked at,
yeah, as a professor, I only give out a D grade if it's like, well, okay, I mean, you did enough work to technically not fail the class, but if you get a D, it's still like not that's not anything you could use. But okay, yeah, sure,
as someone that's worked in restaurants,
Yeah.
that they all had A ratings, and some of those restaurants, I was the one that had to clean them, and I'm
Mhm.
like, so I know what gets an A, and it's
Right.
not much.
Wow. Okay.
I mean,
Wow.
I would say that in school too. I mean, our education. Let's be honest here.
Right.
Every teacher is desperately trying to pass their students. I think that's
Yeah.
the just just really trying to talk someone into passing.
Right.
Just
Yeah. Please give me a reason not to fail you. Yeah. But
and then them just being like, no,
so many of my students, yeah, no, they're like, no, no, I'm gonna give you a reason. Yeah. I'm
because
gonna give you
I've
many
been
reasons. Yeah.
because I'm that student because as a student I'm like I like what I'm learning, but I'm not going to do my homework. So it
Right.
did result in like, look, I was an active participant, but I forgot to do all my homework, and then just the teacher being like, look, I can give you a C,
Right.
and I'm like, that's generous and fair, and we both know this is a sham what we're doing, and I think that's fine.
Yeah.
I don't know. You got any other bits? The music, it's been playing.
Yeah.
So we've been fading out.
Whenever you need to defend yourself, make sure you get 7 people to do it.
Yeah,
No more, no less.
and get some rice balls.